The 9th of April, Rabbi, first Pierke Avos Pesach.
Okay, thank you. Lou mentioned this is Rabbi Shlomo Furst, Yeshiva Samanashi, in Yeshiva in Yerushalayim, and learning the Haggadah of Pesach. We we wanted to go back to the Yom Mikdaber. If you want to make a rerun of what we learned yesterday, and then we wanted to go back to the Yom Mikdaber just to lock into place how the two commentaries complement each other.
Okay, that sounds like a good plan.
Okay.
So let's
Right.
Lama Maroro Es Chayehem Be Chomer U Bilevanin Mifnei Avodah Hakasha Hayu Ovdim Shehaya Avodah Zarah. So let's see why Mamaru. What we wake up.
I think that would be with an ayin. This is from the same word as more. More. Why did they embitter our lives? More from bitter.
Why did they embitter our lives with mortar and levanim, straw?
Well, that's Lavan is a brick with the making of bricks. Very hard work. Very hard work making bricks.
Mortar and brick. Mipnei ha'avodah, because of the work that was hard, that it was a work, a service that was avodah zarah.
Right. That word, that phrase, avodah kasha, is a synonym for avodah zarah.
Synonym for avodah zarah. I see. Uke'anan shene'amar v'lo sham'u el Moshe mi katzer ruach ume'avodah kasha. What is this word? Ke'anin?
Indian is like that. The Indian is like the topic or the subject matter.
Okay, that the topic that is spoken about, and not that they didn't listen to Moshe because of shortness of breath and hard work. Sheperusho avodah zarah, that was explained as being idol worship.
Right.
Va'az nifpach leiv Mitzrayim alehem. And what's nifach?
Nifach is to, like, literally to reverse or to turn over.
This reversed the heart of the Egyptians against them.
Right.
When we started observing of Avodah Zarah, the mercy that we were getting from the Egyptians was lost, and everything became harsh.
Correct.
Ha'adamar ha'adikasiv Tehillim Kaf Hey, Kaf Hey, Kaf Hey Kuf Hey, as it is written in Tehillim, Hafech Libam. They reverse the heart, Lisano Amo, to hate our nation. Lama Hafech Levav Mipnei Shehafru. The reason that they turned over their heart was because of their reneging, Bris Avos, on the covenant of their father, as it is written over there, Vayifor es amo ma'od. Vayifor.
That's the same source as Mayfair. It's a form of reneging.
Reneg. That the nation reneged very much. Ve'ein v'yafer ella hifras bris, and there is no reneging except for the reneging of the covenant. Okay. All right, so I'm switching now to the other document. The end, the second to the last paragraph, the Kavan. Shero'eh ki im yiyu od b'mitzrayim yish tak u ba'al karkach merov tsaros, and Kavan, since that they saw when the nation was is very much submerged into Egypt.
Right. That word is. Also, you may be familiar with the phrase "shkias achama," when the sun sets, right? So yishtaku, it shall literally shall set, it shall sink.
Sink or submerge, right? So they sunk into the culture of Mitzrayim, Bal Karchach, against their will, from a great deal of stress. Al Kain, therefore, Chashav es Hakates. Therefore, Hashem designed the end, Lega'alo, that they will be redeemed lifnei arba ma'os shana, before 400 years. Ba'al davar azhara.
So this is an important point to remember. Since the Kadosh Baruch Hu saw that we were getting so submerged, shakua, in the tumah and the lifestyle and the assimilation to the Egyptians, so Kadosh Baruch Hu, instead of keeping the straight numeration of the 400 years as was decreed, he shortened it. It was necessary to shorten it to 210. Okay, now we're not going to probably have a chance to do it before Pesach. I have to see. Maybe give thought if you want to learn on Chol HaMoed, and if yes, what time. It may need to be a little bit of a different time than now, but we certainly can try and make some time on Chol HaMoed. And there's a very important Beis Halevi. It goes into this point that when Kadosh Baruch Hu made this consideration to shorten the time of our exile by 190 years, right? So this was a very crucial turning point in Klal Yisrael's history. We can't go into all the details right now. Um, I mean, we can see how far we'll get today, but it was a very serious decision on the part of the Kadosh Baruch Hu to deem us early, but there were consequences for that, meaning the time really should be paid back in some way or another. There are different explanations how that could possibly be done and how it actually would take effect. Um, but that's what's being said over here as well. Kadosh Baruch Hu, because of the situation of Klal Yisrael in Mitzrayim became so seriously bad, so it was necessary to redeem us before the actual time of the 400 years.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that sounds reasonable. I would like to learn something during Chol Hamoed. I don't know exactly what my wife has planned in terms of trips and so on. She usually wants to do a few trips, but um, there certainly will be days when I won't be going on trips.
Right.
So,
Okay, so we can play it by ear and see how that's going to work out.
okay, sounds good. Also, quite often our trips are in the afternoon, so it may be that even if I'm going on a trip one day, I could learn a little bit in the morning.
Very good, very good.
All right. So Va'al Devar Azhara, concerning the matter of the warning, Shalo Yishtadlu um, Lehish Tavos Ule Ha Ma'arav Imahem Ella Yu Rotzim Lios Garim. So concerning the matter of the warning that they did not make efforts Lehish Tavos, I don't know.
This is you when you ever have a difficulty with the word, always try and look at the shorish. So this is a very difficult word to figure out the shorish. The lamed, usually the lamed at the beginning is a verb attachment, and the hey is usually a proper noun or adverb attachment. Lameds and heys at the beginning, usually also yuds at the beginning. Shins at the beginning also means certain things too as well. So that means that our word really begins probably with the shin and the tough. And shin tough with the vav, and the vav also, the fact that it's double also tells you that's probably part of the shorish. So the shin tough vav, shava, when something is shava, it's either worth or it's equatable with something, right? So here that the zara is that going back to the bris ben besarim, we're commanded that we should not hishtadel to put forth efforts, hishtavos to assimilate, to make ourselves equal, or to make ourselves the same with arev and to mix, right? To mix imohim amongst them, meaning amongst the midstream, and therefore also to mix with any other host nations that we might find ourselves involved with in the course of our exile.
Okay, so concerning the warning that we should not make efforts to assimilate and mix with them, but rather we should be striving to be strangers.
Right. Ella, right. Ella, you rotzim Dios gering. Our desire is the exact opposite. We should not try to desire to become like our host nations. We should desire to remain separate and distinct, to retain our identity, not to lose our identity.
Right. Amar te ulamad ma bikesh levan harami bekule. It says, go and learn what Lavan, the Aramite, wanted, etc. Perush shalo tichshov ki ba'im shetit arev imahem yikal me'itach ol hagalos. The explanation is that we should not. What's tichshov?
Tichshov, we should not consider key.
That since Ba'im, we came.
Yeah.
Shetis avar, to serve with them. Yakal, I don't know. What's yakal?
With his aver means to mix amongst them. Tis aver imohim, to mix amongst them.
Yes.
Yikal, right? Ma itcha oil hagoas, meaning, what does it mean? I mean, he's coming to explain in the Haggadah. Yeah, maybe take a look at the Haggadah. It's good to correspond this to Haggadah, so you'll see what he's trying to answer here.
Okay. So we're around where it talks about Lavan.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, let's see. Let's see. Yakal. Let's see where I can find that word. Tse limad ma bikesh Lavan harami lasos liakov avinu sheparo lo gazar ella al ha hazcharim Lavan bikesh lakor es hakol shneemar yagar. Let's see. I'm looking for the word yakol. Yakol.
Well, maybe start with the Haggadah when it says say wulame, come in, or say go out, literally to go out, say go out and learn.
That's what I just read.
That from the Haggadah there, right?
Yeah, I just
Okay, so
say ulamad ma bikesh Lavan, but I didn't see our word.
and let's see, which word are you looking for?
I'm looking for the word yud, yud kuf lamed.
So okay, so that's not part of the Haggadah. That's his explanation here.
Oh, okay. So, all right. So yeah. So I got the context for the say for where it says say lamad.
Well,
That Lavan wanted to uproot everybody. He
right.
wanted.
So that question, the question is, what are we trying to learn out from that? Meaning, say, come and go out and learn. Meaning, go out and learn from what Laman tried to do. So now, we understand. Everyone knows from Chumash what he tried to do. So, but what are we trying to learn from that? What is that? What's that lesson that they want to teach us about that we're supposed to learn from there?
Right. And this is that troubling uh, item that we discussed a week or so ago when we were talking about culpability, and you brought this up as an example where there seems to be no culpability at all.
Right. Right. Because again, the whole thing with that we're learning is that the cold over the Om Dimalino Kalasenu is a result of our desire to assimilate, right? So
Right.
if that's the root cause of cold over the Om Dimalenu, so and if the apparently the source of this now, or at least the primary proof of this is from Lavan, so we would expect that there's some culpability on the part of Yaakov Avinu, correct?
Yeah, right.
Right,
But we know that he did exactly what his mother told him.
right,
So,
right,
and he was there for a good purpose to find a wife, which he immediately got to work on. And the delay was because of Levant.
right.
Unless you want to say that he should have left after the 14 years and not stayed for the additional years.
Um, possibly. All right, that's a question. That's a question. Um, all right. Um, so, but that and so this is part of what he's come to explain. Yeah, this is what part of what he's coming to explain.
Right. So um, we were commanded not to mix, and we should not have had a desire to mix. Then it mentions Lavan, and then it says the explanation uh, that we mixed with them, but we mixed with the Egyptians, not with Lavan. What does Lavan have to do with it? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's doesn't I don't get it.
Okay, so let's see how what he's going to hopefully we can have a clarification based on what he's teaching us here.
Okay, so this word yakal, what does it mean?
But yakal is to make light, to make easier, to make light.
Okay, so meitcha o hagalus,
Oil is the literally the yoke or the burden of Golas.
right? Of the gullets. What is this meitcha
From upon you, right? Upon you.
from upon?
Yeah, meaning you, meaning that perish lo tichashiv im is Arabi Moyim Yikal Mitra Olagos. You should not, don't think, we're learning from Lovin, don't think that if you're going to mix with them, if you're going to assimilate, that's going to make your Golas easier. Do not think that if you mix with the Goyim, that's going to make Golas easier for you. And the limit from that is based on Lovin. That is what Lovin is coming to teach us. The Maisa with Lovin, according to the Haggadah, is you may think mistakenly that by mixing and assimilating with the host nations, you may think that's going to make your gullus easier, right? You'll get good jobs, you'll have freedom of speech, you'll have equal rights, yeah, there won't be discrimination, right? You'll be able to travel freely, right? You may think, oh, that's going to make your gullus easier. Learn from Lamed that's not the case. Lamed ma bikesh lavan aramit. Learn from what Laban this wanted to do to you. So what does that mean? How do we explain that?
I'm also wondering how it applies to today in America. Because isn't that exactly what the Jews in America, or a lot of the Jews in America, have done? They've mixed in, and it's made it very much easier for them. They're part of the American society, and life is good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's if you think too much about it, it's frightening.
Yeah, I mean, I was part of that world, um, and the reason that I left that world was because um, I wanted more spirituality, not because I had any difficulty or uh, trouble surviving or flourishing. I was doing fine, but
Right. But I mean, but you should, I mean,
spirituality.
recently things have changed. I was at a chasna a few weeks ago, and I was sitting next to a young fellow in his maybe he's 20, maybe he's 20 years old, and he just recently came within the last half year to Or Sameach. Baruch Hashem, he grew up in I believe it was Toronto. And he said, I mean, he had always been, it came from definitely a non-traditional background. And, but he was also, like you said, he was always sort of spiritually inclined, never really knowing how to direct it exactly. But he told me the reason he came to Eretz Israel, to Yerushalayim, because the anti-Semitism on on his campus was terrible. He couldn't survive there.
Right.
So So you see, the situation is not exactly what it was when you were growing up. It was, you know, everything, because again, even though it was a hard, there was a high degree of assimilation, but now the intermarriage and all the other things, it's tremendously, it's a it's a losing battle. Um,
Right.
that, uh,
And yet
so
I have relatives who are intermarried,
yeah,
and
mhm,
they're happy. They're very content with it.
yeah, well, because you know, it's yeah, yeah. So,
Children and they have jobs.
right. So, so that's that's the unfortunate thing. They become so desensitized. Then and see, this is the real crime. This is the real crime of the reform. That what the reform did was they they sanctioned this type of a lifestyle that with the sanction of the reform rabbis, people have been led to believe that they're leading fine, wonderful lives. And I know cases personally. I know cases that people grew up in traditional Orthodox homes. Again, it was far from being a Torah home, but it was still outwardly traditional, kosher, and Shabbos to some extent, according to their knowledge, which might have been very minimal anyway. But so children from such families, when they meet a Reform rabbi and says, you don't have to worry about milk and meat. That's not so important anymore. So they have the sanction of the Reform policies that give them a validation to their ignorance and to their blindness, and they're simply completely desensitized to what they really should be doing with life.
Right.
And that's the difficulty. You can't once once that exists, it's very hard to talk to a person about, listen, you should change your ways. There's a lot better you can be doing with your life. It's like, this is not the way to live. We're Jews. Ask it, ask, you you've heard the expression, the cardiac Jews, they're, heart's pumping great, heart's doing great.
Right. But the cardiac Jew, the idea is that the person, has a love of Judaism. But I have relatives who don't have a love of Judaism. They have no connection to it. It's they married non-Jews and they have their families, they have their lives, and it's not a Jewish life. And they're
Right,
concerned about it. It's
right.
it's everything's going good. Everything's fine with them, they think.
Yeah, that's the difficulty, that they're completely desensitized. This is, now we're talking about the next generation. There was a generation that it meant something, that it was some type of a Jewish pride. There was some type of, even I'm far from a Zionist, but even some association to the state of it. Well, let's discriminate between the state of Israel and the land of Israel, two different things, right? But that's gone by the wayside also. And a lot of people, they're supporting. We've discussed situation with your sister from time to time. It's lost. There's no connection at all.
Right. Yeah, well that's actually one of the cases I'm thinking about.
Right,
She has no connection um, to the land. She's against Israel. Um, it wasn't always that way. There was a time when she was positive about Israel. She even
right,
visited Israel about maybe 10, 15 years ago. Had a good time.
right.
Now because of the war, she's turned around. I have another relative who's intermarried, and she's, as far as I know, she's not concerned. She's not pro or con. Um,
Well,
I have another relative who's not, she's not intermarried, but she's not religious at all, and she's a Zionist. She's very much in favor of Israel, and she's very upset by the Palestinians and the anti-Semitism and so on and so forth. But it's not. It doesn't come from a basis of Judaism. It comes from a basis of. I mean, it is a certain Jewish pride because she's against anti-Semitism, but it's not a religious Jewish pride. It's a I guess a nationalistic, you'd have to say.
yeah. That's the thing. It takes it. It's taking on a very. It's all individual according to the person's background, psychology, personality. It's all. Are they politically active? Are they not politically active? Are they humanitarian? Are they not humanitarian? It's it's there's no no real standard, no, no real standard. And look, in Europe, pre-war Europe, you had many different some extremely um, um, different groups. You had Zionist nationalists, communists, you had Bundists, you had your reformers and Muskegon, you had quite a range of different Jewish factions, but the common denominator was that they were all against the Torah.
Right.
So,
What do we say about America that in time it's going to get worse and worse and worse, and then we'll see what we're reading here.
well, uh, I don't like to make predictions on that. I'm far from that. It's, uh, it's, and again, the thing with America is that at this point, there's nothing overt. I mean, and that's the real, see, a lot of the changes in Jewish life took place with the so-called Renaissance and Napoleon structure of society, and that when the doors of the ghettos opened, so that was the beginning of the closing of the doors of the yeshivas. So, I mean, you have, look, on one hand, in America, you have a tremendous amount of yeshivas. There's a Baruch Hashem, a strong group of B'nai Torah. But again, even at that, the Gashmias, the influence of the Gashmias is very strong, very strong. So, and that takes a very deep effect on the Jewish population, both the B'nai Torah and certainly the ones that are less committed. So it's in short, we really need Mashiach to pull us out of this. Could be we're in a nosedive, if you know what I mean.
Right. Okay. I guess we should go on.
Yeah.
Hello, lo haya roy sheyu tov lecha bigalus yoter mi measher im levan shehu avi emes
Imcha.
imcha imcha.
Right. So he's saying take a look for a second. It shouldn't have been any better for you. It could have been better going for you than it was with Lavan, who was the father of your mother, right?
It could have been better.
It couldn't have been any better. Meaning that was the best of the best, right? The best of the best was to be in Golos with Lavan. You're the son-in-law. Yaakov was the son-in-law, right? And the father of your mother, meaning Laban was our great grandfather, right? So logically speaking, it couldn't have been better. The Golos couldn't have been better there. That was the best possible Golos to be sent into Golos. Imagine he's exiled from his family or from his country. The Spanish Inquisition, the exile, the expulsion of the Jews from England, expulsion in all the countries. In France, they expelled the Jews. All over they were expelling Jews. So you have to go somewhere. So, I happen to have, right, a great grandfather, right? And that sounds like a perfect place to go, no? Can't be better than your grandfather.
Right. That's logical.
Right? And in spite of that,
Except we know that he was a Rasha.
oh, okay, you're raising a good point. That's a very good point, right? But nevertheless, meaning when it came time for Yaakov to be sent away to choose a wife, right? So both his mother Rivka and his father Yitzchak agreed that Laban would be the best place to go to find a wife.
Right. Which doesn't really make logical sense to me.
Okay, so that's another topic. If you want, write that down, and we'll try and discuss. That's a whole nother topic. Why that should be, meaning again, we have to try and picture the world as it was in those days. Meaning there was, the world was, it, I I once did a little research about what was called the Wild West. You remember the Wild West?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, the Wild West is something that was made up in Hollywood. Historically speaking, wasn't very wild at all.
Really?
Really, really. If you want to do a search, want to do an interesting search, if you want to find out how many, the famous gunfights, the gunfights, that business, right?
Right?
If you want to do a search, try and do a historical search on how many gunfights took place in the western states of America in the 1800s.
Yeah. Not
You'd
been.
be surprised if I remember what my search results was. Either was surprisingly few, maybe less than a handful.
Uh-huh.
I mean, the way that the Holloway puts it, it's every Tuesday and Thursday is another gunfight. It's like the bullfights in Mexico,
Right?
but it's really all Hollywood. But so when we think of what the world was like at those times, it was first of all, you would not be welcome. A stranger was not welcome in any foreign lands. Well, you weren't. People did not travel. People did not migrate, right, unless they were forced to do it. So, but that as I say, that's a whole different topic to try if you want to explore that how it was beneficial to go to Yelovin and what the reasons were for that. We can get to that another time, it's a shame. Oh, so Lovin was the best possible place to be in Golis, right? And
Right.
nevertheless, what did he try to do? The grandfather, tried to uproot us.
Right. Brutal, all of us.
Hmm.
Okay, so let me just go through the words here. Hello, Haya Roy. Is it not that it was not proper, Shahaya Tov, that it would be good, Licha, for you, Bigalus, in exile, Yoter, more Measher, from that, Im Lavan, with Lavan, Shahu Avi Imcha, that he's the father of your mother. But Laban wasn't the father of his mother. Laban was the brother of his mother.
Um, so the but his but his no Lovin again. Lovin had Rachel. Rachel was the daughter of Lovin. Leah was the daughter of Lovin.
Right.
Right.
So he was the father of your mother being Rachel and Leah.
Right. Right.
Okay. V'harei hu bikesh lakor es hakol. And nevertheless, we see that he sought to uproot everybody.
Right.
Talmud Asher, excuse me a second. Stop this phone call. I'll call him back. We're almost done. From this, we learn that he may shamda lanu. He stood for us, ula avosenu, and for our forefathers, shalo echad bilvad, that not one alone imad stood lechalosenu, to destroy us.
Right.
Ela hakadosh baruch hu matzilenu miyadam, but Hashem rescued us from his hand. Aval hema mivakshim lechalosenu shehu bishvil she'anu mivakshim lehis arav imahem. But what did they seek? Lechalosenu. What's lechalosenu?
That is to destroy us.
To destroy because that we were different. So that we were not mivakshim.
Sha'anu means that we, not, you need a yud to make it ain. Sha'anu, that we, mivakshim, we sought. We are the ones. We sought.
To destroy, to mix with them.
Right.
So it seems to be saying we sought to mix with Lavan, but we didn't.
Well, no.
Oh, maybe we did. Maybe because he was working for Lavan, that was wrong.
Oh, so this is the big question. He's answering the question: what if the whole premise, the principle is that if we seek to mix with them, they will rise up against us, right? So, and the proof of this is from loving, that if we seek to mix with them, from loving against us, learn from loving. Now, loving was the best possible place to be in Goa, the most comfortable, the most welcome, the most merciful place. That's where we started this last document. We put a similar thought that the Mitzvah Hashem was seeking to find a land, a people, a place where Klal Yisrael should go into Golas, and the Mitzvah, because why? They would be the most merciful for us, and it would be the easiest for us to come out of Golas, and it would treat us with the most love and mercy of any place, because we shared the same thing as the Tleh. The Tleh they worshipped, and we were the Muslim of the Tleh, so there's some kind of connection there. It's that is a topic which needs to be explored fully, but let's just leave it with the words. Since it was a Tleh they worshipped, and we had the Muslim of the Tleh, they would be more predisposed than any other people or place that they would treat us mercifully and with love. And it would be therefore much easier for it to come out of Golas. So likewise, Laban also had a direct affinity and to us, to the Jewish people at the time, Yaakov Avinu. So he, as you said, he was the brother of Yaakov's mother. He was our uncle, and he was also the father of the mothers of ours that we got put in his status as a grandfather. Right? So that would apparently be one of the most easiest, best places for our Golas, our exile. Nevertheless, he was the one that sought to uproot us, right? He was the one that did it and tried it and would have been successful unless HaKadosh Baruch Hu intervened directly to warn him not to do it. Now, but the principle is supposed to be that we mix and they rise against us. So Laban's rising against us, but the question is, where are we mixing? So it could be this needs a little bit more explanation, which I don't have 100% right now, but I would say that if you remember that there's a Rashi, when we came to Shem, when we're entering into Eretz Israel, let's take a look. Remember, there's a Rashi. I'll try and tell this may be the key. This may be the key. when we came in Parshas, Parshas, no, Parshas Pesach, just after the Maisa with Asa. Hold on, let me get this one. Um, I think it was just before Shem, um, come alive, um, I think if you look in Bereshis, I think it's Lamed Gimel, Perek Lamed Gimel, or maybe Lamed Daled, maybe Lamed Daled. 1 second.
So I see in Lamed Gimel, he got to Shechem.
Right.
Before that or after that?
And let's see. Uh, maybe, hold on.
You know what? Our time is up.
Okay, 1 second. Oh, it's in Lamed Hay. Looking at Lamed Hay, we'll have to pick this up for tomorrow. But I'll just make the point. Lamed Hay,
Lamed Hay. Okay.
Pasuk days.
Lamed Hay Pasuk base.
Right.
All right, I'll see if I can look at that.
Yeah, take a look at that and take a look at Rashi. You'll see, and I think that's going to be the key to answer this question.
Okay. English, I'll
Very good.
read that. I'll read that
Excellent.
today.
Okay, very good, Lou. Have a nice afternoon. Hope to see you tomorrow.
Okay, thank you, Rabbi. Appreciate your teaching.
Baruch Hashem. Thank you. Appreciate you being with me too.
Okay, bye-bye.
Very good.